What's going on, people? Welcome back to the United Stand. I'm actually in a good mood today because I feel like we're actually going to get a win. Hopefully you guys feel the same. Look, Manchester United are playing Real Sociedad. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff in the Europa League. Look, the energy, in my opinion, the energy feels good. But let me know in the chat right now, how are you feeling about today's game? Now, we've gone downstairs, gone outside to Old Trafford and spoke to some fans about, what their opinions are on today's game and also just their opinions on certain players to watch, etc. But listen, we're going to get into everything today. We've got Beth calling in from the stadium. She's doing some press and media stuff. And obviously, I'm not by myself. I'm joined with Sam, CE Reports, the best journalist in Manchester, in the UK.
Thank you very much. Positive vibes only. I'm loving the intro.
Come on, of course. When it's a Mordzs and Sam show, you're gonna get a lot of positivity and a lot of jokes.
Yeah, thanks, banter.
We may as well. So yeah, let me know in the chat first and foremost. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about today's game? Is the energy good? Do you think we're gonna get a win? Because let's be honest, everyone's been saying this. It's our most important game of the season. It's easily our most important game of the season. But Sam, I'm gonna throw a question to you straight away. Literally what I just said. How are you feeling about today's game? We'll do a score predictions at the end, but your energy around it, being around Old Trafford and from speaking to people, what do you think about today's game with Man United?
So sometimes when we go down before the game, the vibes are dead. There are no vibes because we ask the fans, "Oh, what do you think?" And they say, "Oh, we're gonna lose. Oh, we're gonna get battered. Oh, we'll sack the whole team. Sir Jim. Glazers. Bad. Everything's bad. No, everything. You can't tell me one good thing. That's what we were getting a few weeks ago.
A lot of negativity.
We went down today. And they were the fans were excited. Like, this is a must-win game for Manchester United. The fans are buzzing. It's some nervousness, but not that heavy. But most Manchester United fans think that we can do it and we will go through tonight.
Yeah, 100%. And I kind of think because of the Arsenal game, that's kind of how the momentum's kind of switched. Because before the Arsenal game, there's a lot of negativity, like you said. A lot of people are very nervous going into pretty much every single game that we played. But because of the protests and in the stadium for the actual Arsenal game as well, the atmosphere was a lot better than it usually is. Usually, I'll be honest, sometimes the away fans are a bit louder than the home fans, but the Arsenal game was a lot better. So maybe that momentum of getting that point, getting that result, which a lot of people probably thought we wouldn't get, that's kind of led on to today, into obviously this important game against Real Sociedad. So look, I want to actually get straight into it, straight into the team, into certain players, and because there's conversations every single week about certain players, whether or not, Sam's gonna go up to the tactic board. I know a lot of people, well, the people who watch every single build-up show would know exactly what's gonna happen now. But we do have a tactics board, and we don't normally use it every single week because we don't really have time and stuff like that. But Sam C, being the amazing presenter that he is, he's going to go over to the tactics board. And what I want you guys to do is we're going to go through each player, give your opinion, send in your super chats, and we're going to discuss pretty much the starting 11 that we think is going to happen, so the predicted 11. And then when the team comes out, we'll obviously try and confirm it. We're going to try and get as close as we can to what we think the team's going to be. So, starting in net, who else is it going to be, really? It's only really Onana.
It's got to be Onana.
To kind of play. So
I just have to say, before we start, last time we did this, me and you, I got cooked for my handwriting. The chat was saying, I can't read that. So I'm going to try and do a little bit better handwriting for you guys this time. But yeah, so what are we saying? We're saying Onana?
We'll put Onana in there. There's not really a lot to discuss around Onana because we don't have a second keeper to
it's a shame for Bayindir, actually. And do you know what I was thinking when we were just practicing this little board earlier? If we don't get through today, Bayindir could have played his last game for Manchester United.
Oh, you think he's
off in the summer?
You think he's on in the summer?
Yeah. Would you not want to leave if you were him?
But at the same time, I understand obviously playing time. I think he's kind of shown in the few games that he's played, maybe not the first Tottenham game in the Carabao Cup. Was it the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup? One of those. I think it was the Carabao Cup. Yeah, when we got beat 4-3. That was a bit of a howler. But since then, he has had some decent games. So he's probably thinking, you know what? I could definitely play for a decent team, a good team, a Premier League team, regular, every single game. So I'd understand from that point of view. However, do you not feel like Bayindir might be thinking as well, Onana's time at the club might not be that long? Because let's be honest, his position isn't confirmed for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Amorim might be thinking, people already complaining about your handwriting.
No. I'm just making sure it's neat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so there was still conversations around Onana's place in this team. So Bayindir might think, you know what, if Onana is going, or there's a potential that Onana might not survive the next 2 years, I could probably fit into that place.
Yeah, you know what? That is a good point. I do hear you on that. But the thing for me is like, if I was Bayindir and I'm my first national team, like I'm my first choice for my national team, I'm going to want to be playing week in, week out. I'm not going to wait around on the hope that Man United bin off Andre Onana. Yeah. If I'm Bayindir, I'm going to want to be playing week in, week out. And he has got the level to play in, week out. Maybe not at Manchester United, but like maybe if he dropped, like, it's bold for us to call these teams smaller, but it may be like a Fulham, Crystal Palace, these type, although Leno and Dean Henderson, but like, you know what I mean, those type of teams, West Ham, maybe he could be playing there week in, week out. So if I was him, I'd probably look to move. Okay, cool. Anyway, moving on from the goalkeeper, let's go into the three centre-backs. Now, there are obviously a couple of players, well, I say a couple, the few players, the few centre-backs that are out right now. Martinez, obviously, ACL, out for the season. Maguire, he's still out, right? Yeah, he's still out, so he's not available today. Obviously, Luke Shaw, he's not been available for most of the season. So the only real available centre-backs we have are De Ligt, Euro. No, not Euro. No, yes, Euro as well. Another player that went out the last game, he had the injury to his foot, which he tried to play out for a little bit and it just ended up getting worse. So Euro's actually out as well. So it's just De Ligt, Mazraoui, Aiden Heaven, Lindelof, and that might be it. That might be all about. Well, Johnny. I don't know if Johnny Evans is even. Johnny Evans. No, Johnny Evans. So that might actually be it. So I mean, let's just put a confirmed name and let's talk about that player. So my first confirmed name is De Ligt. Yeah. I think he's kind of the obvious choice. So we'll put that down. We'll put it on the board. Where centre back? Last game was it Lindelof that played centre back? I think it was. Okay, so where do you want left centre back or right? We'll put him on the right. Put him on the right. Okay, we'll go down here then. Matheus De Ligt. So, I mean, talk to me about De Ligt from your opinion. How important do you think he is to not just the team, but just the defence, just specifically the defence, being like a leader and also probably the most experienced defender that we might have right now available? It's an interesting one on De Ligt. I really like him. I think he's been solid. I think that was a signing that, Ineos did correctly. The same with Mazraoui, which I'm sure we'll touch on because how he's obviously going to be in this team. I'm assuming that the chat agree with that as well. So I think that De Ligt is, week in, week out, solid, will fight. We've seen leadership as well, which Manchester United are lacking at the moment, a bit of that leadership type thing. So overall, I'm very, very happy with De Ligt at the moment. Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, the leadership qualities, a lot of people say that he might be, he has the potential to be probably a future captain for Manchester United. I mean, we saw captain Ajax at 17 years old, and he's an international player. So he has the qualities. It's just about, I think it's just about time, really. Yeah, sure. Letting him stay at the club a bit longer and obviously understanding the club a bit more. And hopefully, as we progress, he'll progress with us, and we can actually see the potential that. Let's be honest, a lot of people have been speaking about De Ligt's potential for about 8 years now. From those Ajax days, everyone kind of said De Ligt could be probably one of the best centre-backs in the world. I don't personally feel like we've seen that yet at any of the clubs that he's been at. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's moved around a lot, in his career to a few big clubs. But I feel like De Ligt at United can become a top, I'm talking about Van Dijk level, that kind of centre-back. Honestly, I feel like he could be at that level. It's just about time, like I said. So, I mean, let's move on to the next one. I'd say the only other confirmed one will be Mazraoui. But what, you think Mazraoui in the back three? Yeah. Over then who misses out? Dog is available, right? Yeah. But and Dallow's available. But then who misses out? Heaven. I think Heaven. Because I'd have probably started Heaven. Over who? I'd have put Mazraoui at right wing back. Dorgu. I'd have not started Dallow. Wow. Okay. I mean, let us know in the chat. Would you have not started Dallow, or who were the other person that you were left out? So let's just like say what it would be. So it would be Onana, Heaven, Lindelof, De Ligt, Dorgu, Mazraoui. Wow, is that your back five choice? I would have gone with Dorgu. Unless Dorgu, I hear what you're going to say. You're going to miss out Heaven, aren't you? Yeah. I would have put Mazraoui up probably on the left, or I might have swapped. I don't know what the order would have been in terms of the back three. He would have played where, but the back three in general, I would have put Mazraoui, Lindelof, and De Ligt, and then I would have put
Dorgu, and then Dalot.
All right,
That would have been mine. That would have been mine.
Let me ask the chat.
Okay,
Let me ask the chat. Would you rather... Okay, actually, can we run a poll? Let's do a poll.
Okay.
Should Diogo Dalot start for Manchester United today? If we can do a poll. I'm interested to see what people think, because where does that leave Mazraoui? Does that leave him there? Or does that leave him there?
I think Mazraoui is 100% going to play.
No. I think he'll play. But it's just about where's he going to play. If Dalot doesn't play, Mazraoui's there.
I also think Dalot will 100% play as well. I genuinely didn't think that was a conversation. I didn't think Dalot not playing today would have been a conversation. I genuinely didn't think that. I thought, I think Ricky said it, just before Dorgu got signed, Ricky said it straight away, like, Dalot's still going to play. It's going to be Mazraoui. If anyone's going to get dropped out of the team, it would have been Mazraoui. Dalot's kind of, I feel like he's still a confirmed player.
What's the chat saying?
In this team. Someone said, hell no. Delict, Maz, Lindelof. Mazraoui and Garnacho do well together on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Garnacho and Dorgu wing-backs, interesting. Dalot's gotten better, but Mazraoui over Dalot still.
That's what I'm saying.
Shouldn't start Dalot, but he'll start, obviously. Heaven on the bench. Yeah, it feels a bit mixed. Let's put.
What do you want to do? Let's lock it in. Yeah, I'll give you the final take, the bold take.
I'm going based off what I think is going to happen. I want to get the right exercise. So
fine.
I think it's going to be Dorgu and Dalot. But in terms of the centre-back positions, I still think it would be Delict, Lindelof, and Mazraoui. Yeah.
Okay. Delict, and then Victor Lindelof, and then Nusa Mazraoui.
Yeah. So I think those are the three. I'm pretty sure.
So let's fill in the wing backs as well.
Yeah, pretty sure. So we can put Dorgu on the left wing back position.
Dorgu, and then Dalot.
Diogo Dalot as right wing back.
Diogo Dalot.
So, I mean, let's talk a bit. The one player I actually want to highlight and talk about is Victor Lindelof. Now, as a player who's obviously not had a lot of opportunities to play this season, as also a player who most likely will not be here next season. He's been at the club for a while now. How many years has it been now? Maybe like 7 years?
8 years,
like
yeah.
8 years, so around that time. And obviously now his career at United is slowly coming to an end. However, we are at a point now where we actually have to play him. We don't really have a choice. We have to play him. And for a player that's not had a lot of minutes, I genuinely don't think he's done that bad. In the Arsenal game, I don't think he had a poor performance. In fact, I think he did all right. He did better than a lot of people probably would have expected him to do. Yeah. So, in your opinion, and I'll put this to the chat as well, for Victor Lindelof, how important is today's game? Do you feel like, especially being a central centre-back, he kind of has to be a bit more commanding? He has to kind of take over that Maguire spot, which, he would obviously not normally play. How important do you feel like Victor Lindelof will be in today's game?
I think I'm going to answer the first question of how important is this game for Victor Lindelof. Yeah. This game is important for every single Manchester United player. Every single key Manchester United player is fighting for their space in Ruben Amorim's best, / preferred 11. But for players like Victor Lindelof and these sort of players that are probably on their way out in the summer, they're fighting for a transfer. They're fighting, and then clubs, Benfica, these sort of clubs, are they watching and they're going, oh, Lindelof actually put in a good performance against Sociedad. Let's have a look at that for the summer. These are the type of questions that are going through the players' heads. And it's like, I have to perform to prove my worth. Proving their worth at the moment in Manchester United's worst season is huge. It's
difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. And in terms of today's game specifically, how well do you think he's going to do? What do you think his role is going to be in that back three?
Yeah, I mean, we've put him at centre back, which is a key role. It could have been De Ligt centre back and then Lindelof right centre back. It could have been.
I feel like De Ligt plays better as a right centre back, in my opinion. Yeah. I feel like he plays better as a right-sided centre back. Yeah. And to be fair, Lindelof could have played on the left side as well. He could have been on a left-sided centre back if we had. It could have been literally any way. We could have put Mazraoui as right-sided centre back and then De Ligt to the centre and Lindelof on the left. We've got some versatile players there, so I don't know specifically which order it's going to be, but all three of them can probably play two positions in that centre back role.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But let's go into the wing back positions. Yeah. Now, let's speak about Dalot, because you were someone who obviously thought or had a prediction that Dalot might not. It wasn't.
I didn't think it was going to happen. It was just a scenario.
A suggestion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk to me about Dalot in your opinion. even though he's not the greatest season, I still feel like he's still a shoe-in to start every single game. And that's just how I feel like Amorim is decided his team. You know, every single week, Dalot is gonna play regardless. But you obviously think a bit differently. Why?
Look, last season, Diogo Dalot was arguably Manchester United's Player of the Season. Like, I think he actually won Player of the Season award.
Yeah. Or Player of the Season.
Something like that. So he had a fantastic season, and no one in the chat, and me and you and Beth and Ricky, no one can doubt the fact that he had an unbelievable season last season. But this season it's dropped off a bit, and these week in, week out, twice a week consistent performances are not happening. Now, they're just, I'd describe his performances as, you know, they're okay, they're nothing special, and they're not terrible. They're, you know, they're okay. They're average performances. But Manchester United can't have average performances. In the season we're having, we can't have players that are just being average.
But isn't everyone just being average?
That's true. But then if you're going to come, let's say all our centre backs were fit. Yeah. And then I said to you, all centre backs are fit. Dalot or Mazraoui, who would you then pick? It's going to be Mazraoui based off this season, no?
Currently 100% based off the season. Definitely, Mazraoui's probably been one of our signings of the season, probably top 2 signings of the season. I still think it is debatable as to who probably starts. I don't know. Most people probably better fans of Mazraoui. I am definitely one of those people. However, I'm still not fully convinced that he would ever play Mazraoui over Dalot is in his starting 11. And that's in my opinion. I still don't think he would ever do that. As a right wing back, I don't think he'd ever do that.
It's interesting. Do you think that Manchester United need to get a right wing back in the summer then?
100%. 1,000%.
And then what? And then Mazraoui secures his place here or here?
Yeah, I think the thing about Mazraoui, and I feel like he probably knows this as well, is he's got a bit more of a lifeline, well, not a bit more, a huge lifeline compared to Dalot, based on the fact that, one, he's a new signing, so he's got a bit of breathing room, you know, a bit of breathing space, because in your first season, nobody's really expecting you to be a world beater. You kind of have a bit of a... You've got some room for error, you know, in that first season, but also the fact that he can play in that centre-back role. We haven't seen Dalot do that. Maybe 1 or 2 games, I can't think off the top of my head, but we haven't seen Dalot play in one of those centre-back roles. We've seen Mazraoui do that a lot this season, and it has worked. He has played, in fact, most people I think will probably say he plays better in that right centre-back role or left centre-back role compared to as a wing-back. So he, in my opinion, is more confirmed to stay, as in, like, if you had to pick one player to stay, I'd definitely pick Mazraoui over Dalot. But it is still interesting in terms of if everyone is fit, every single person's fit.
Yeah, then where's Dalot's space in the starting 11?
Do any of them get into the starting 11? If we actually buy a right wing back in the summer, do any of those two get into the starting 11? If everyone's fit?
Depends. I guess that's a difficult question to answer because you don't know who that right wing back's going to be.
I'm assuming that we're going to 100% buy a right wing back in the summer.
Who?
Someone will be available. Like, I don't know right now, but maybe Kender or someone like that. Somebody will be available, and I think it's such an important position. We definitely will go out. Seeing the difference in Dorgu compared to what we were playing before, how we were playing before Dorgu, I think United or any of us are going to think, we have to bring in someone in that right wing back position. And if we do bring someone in and they are starting, do any of those two start? Does Mazraoui or Dalot start a game?
I don't think Dalot, maybe Mazraoui in one of the centre-back positions.
If everyone's fit, I'm talking about. If everyone's fit.
Are we talking like Luke Shaw fit?
Everyone should be fit.
Entire squad.
By the start of next season, everyone's, maybe I don't know about Martinez, I don't know how long his injury is going to be, but I'm just assuming that everyone is going to be fit by August, September.
Oh, you never know, but then no.
No, I agree. I don't know. I don't think any of them actually start in a full fit team with a specialised right wing back. But anyway, let us know in the chat, what do you think about that? Do you think they start in a fully fit team if we have a specialised right wing back player? But let's go into the midfield. Let's just call it the two pivot. Now, again, the options. There are a few options. There's more players that come back compared to the last game. I think last game we had literally about 2 players that could play there. Now we've got Bruno, we've got Ugarte, who's obviously back in training now. We've got Collier. We've got Eriksen. And we've got Casemiro.
Yeah.
That's 5 players now in those 2 positions. Yeah. Now I'm gonna let you give your two first, and then I'll give my two, and then we'll see what the chat's saying.
Okay. If Ugarte is fit and ready to go, I'd probably put Ugarte and Bruno there, and then I won't say my 10s and my striker, but I would probably go Bruno and Ugarte, and I think you might agree with me.
I do like Bruno in that pivot position.
Because then if you don't put Bruno in the pivot and you put him at 10, then somebody misses out. Who then?
I think the only other player that could miss out is Garnacho.
So would you leave Garnacho out then? But that's a different conversation.
Okay, so let's stay on those two midfield positions.
You want Bruno and Ugarte?
I say first name has to be Ugarte. So we'll put that down anyway, because I think that's a shoo-in, 100%. The difference between Ugarte being in the team and not in the team is literally night and day.
Yep.
He is a player who genuinely, I feel like there isn't another player in the team to his level that has the same kind of player profile. Yep. And when I say that, I mean being able to be so mobile, you know, he can get back quickly. He's very disciplined in his position. You know, great interceptor, great tackler. Defensively, he's very strong. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a warrior as well. We need a warrior in that midfield. We need someone who can, you know, get at the opposition. Don't let them have time on the ball. Someone who's actually going to put a foot in and you know, make something happen. So I think Ugarte 100% is a starter in that two midfield position. The other one is the conversation, because I think Bruno starts 100%. We all think that. Bruno starts 100%. But it's where does he start? I'm going to say, just for the sake of what we've been doing recently, I'm going to say Bruno will be in this pivot, yeah.
Okay, we'll put him then. We'll put him in. Bruno Fernandes.
But chat, let me know. Let's go to the
poll?
chat. Let me know.
Let's do another poll.
Yeah, we can do another poll, but I've got some super chats here actually. Let me just read a couple of these out. So super chat from Jacob Thorpe. Have the uneasy feeling that us not putting the tie to bed in the first leg will come back to bite us on the arse. We don't seem to do well at home. That is true.
Yeah,
our home record compared to our away record.
Went out in the last cup game.
Yeah, 100%. But let's be positive. Let's be positive. Another super chat from Anders Stanson. Haven, left centre-back, De Ligt centre-back, and Mazraoui, right centre-back. That's actually a player we didn't speak about, Aiden Heaven. I wanted to save it until later on.
I said he'd probably be in mine.
I want to talk about him a bit more.
Okay, we'll go in depth.
But we'll talk about Aiden Heaven when the actual team comes out, so we know exactly who's playing.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do like your centre-back choices. Another super chat from Nathan McSweeney. Xerxes masterclass incoming.
Ooh.
I hope it is incoming. And is there any more super chats? No. So keep sending in your super chats. Let us know your opinions, and we'll bring them in throughout the show. So we were on to.
We now need to do our 10s.
Yeah, the 2 10s. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes in that two midfield position. Like I said, he's either going to play it out in one of the 10s. The fact that he is playing there, I want to stay on those two positions quickly though. I want to talk about a player who's missing out, Collier.
Yeah.
I feel like
from injury though.
That's what I was gonna say. The fact that he's come back from injury is what's stopping him from starting playing, because I genuinely feel like he has put in great performances in that position there, and I think him next to Ugarte as well.
I think he'll come on over Casemiro.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of energy there. He's good on the ball, you know, especially when he's got a bit of time, he can take it on a half turn and he can make things happen. Like I said, it's just the fact that he's come back from injury. Do you really want to start him straight away? Last thing you want is him to get injured again. That's been a repeating problem for United, players getting injured over and over again. But I do feel like he would have been a good option, and that would have put Bruno into that 10 position. Yeah. And, you know, we would have seen it from there. But, I mean, moving on, let's go into the 10s. Who for you is 100% starting in that 10 position if Bruno is in, you know, one of those two midfielders?
I think for me, in the number 10 position, straight away, based off recent weeks, it's got to be Joshua Xerxes, you know? Yeah.
I mean,
unless he's going to play there. Unless he's going to play, unless he's going to play.
But I mean, talk to me about Xerxes in terms of, you know, his past few games. I think he's been all right, to be fair. I think he's been better than all right. A lot of people would say, that's just because everyone else has been bad. And I think that's a bit of an easy cop-out to say that, but I genuinely feel like he's definitely progressed, you know, in the past, I say 10 games, he's progressed a lot compared to, I remember the Newcastle game, he got brought off after, 30 minutes or something like that?
Got booed off.
It was a difficult time for him. And the fact that he's been able to come back and put in these performances, you've got to give him a round of applause, you've got to give him some credit. So, I mean, you talked to me a bit about Xerxes and, you know, obviously compare him to the other striker that we have, Højlund. Who, in your opinion, is the better player, and who do you feel like's got a more of a future at this club?
Very interesting question.
Difficult question.
Somebody that can't play and that is ineligible, obviously, is Chido Obi. Some of us forgot that when we were downstairs, didn't we, Mordzs? That Chido Obi couldn't play today.
I did forget that.
But yeah, Joshua Zirkzee, just a bit about him from me. I think, obviously, when he got booed off and he played for 30 minutes, people and the headlines were like, oh, you know, is Joshua Zirkzee's Manchester United career over? And that was a very bold thing. And I think I was actually on the forum that game. And on the forum, like after the game, I said, to write off Joshua Zirkzee based on that one game when he's just started playing for us is crazy, is nuts. And he's come in, he obviously had that Arsenal game at the Emirates where we went through. And yeah, he missed a pen against Fulham, but wasn't the only one. Yeah. So, yeah, for me, he's in there. For me, he's in there. And I think that Rasmus will play today. Didn't play the last game. Was that to kind of take the spotlight out of him and so he can have a good game? Fingers crossed today.
Yeah. 100%. I think, I mean, you're right, just touching what you said at the end about Højlund not starting the last game anyway. He did come on, but he actually didn't start the last game. I feel like that kind of confirms him to start today. I don't think
so should we lock in Zirkzee and Højlund?
Yeah. Okay. Lock in Zirkzee and lock in Højlund as a striker. And that does kind of leave one more position.
Yeah,
that left-sided 10 position. Now,
it's got to be Garnacho, no?
Yeah, Eriksen.
I don't think it will be.
You don't think it will be?
I don't think it will be. I think it will be Garnacho.
I think it will be Garnacho. Yeah, if we're going to put money on it, I would put my money on Garnacho. But do you not feel like there's a conversation? Do you not feel like there's a conversation now about whether or not Eriksen could start? Because I'll go based off this. The last game we played against Real Sociedad, in my opinion, if Garnacho came off the bench at the same time that, I can't remember who it was who came off the bench, it was around 70th minute, 70th, 80th minute, around that time, if Garnacho had come off the bench at that time, he would have made a big difference in that game. I feel like the game would have been different if we had seen Garnacho be more of an impact sub in that game compared to, obviously, him starting. And I also feel like Eriksen starting kind of gives us a little bit more control over the game. And you really want to start the game with as much control as you can. And then when the game eventually opens up, then you bring on your more threatening players, and then your more direct players, because the game will be a bit more stretched as it goes on.
No, I do understand that, and it's just a great point. The only thing I'd say is if we're trying to control a game that we need to win to go through, surely we should be trying to focus on scoring goals. We have to win to go through. And do we want another penalty shootout? I don't want to watch us through another penalty shootout. I can't take that.
I hear that point, but you can also flip it and say, in these kind of games, the last thing you want to do is concede.
Yeah, it could go either way.
You know what I mean? So you can say either side. Like, we want to score, we also don't want to concede then.
If we're saying, though, that this is the team that we think is going to play, so if we're trying to get bang on the money, who would you then put there?
Let's put Garnacho.
Let's
put Garnacho, yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Let's put Garnacho.
Alejandro Garnacho. So should we go through what we think our starting 11 is then?
Yeah,
now it's done.
Yeah.
Okay, me and Mordzs think Onana in goal, Mazraoui, Lindelof, De Ligt, Dorgu, Ugarte, Bruno, Dalot, Zirkzee, Garnacho, Højlund. Tell us what you think in the chat if you do not agree. Mordzs, I'm coming back to you.
Sweet. So we do have a VT, which we're going to bring in a sec. Producer, do we have that available to come in? So, Sam, you can come back. You can come back over here. But, we do also have Beth calling in. I'm looking at the wrong camera. We do have Beth calling in about 15 minutes, around 15 minutes. She's going to be giving us all like the atmosphere right now. She's in the stadium, so she's obviously she's been speaking to fans. She's been obviously seeing what the energy is like. I said at the start of the game, the energy at Old Trafford, I feel like today is it's a bit more rocky. Yeah, it's a bit more rocky, it's a bit more bouncy, and hopefully Beth can bring us a bit more insight into that. But we do have a VT. We spoke to some fans before the game. In fact, this is a bit of a heads up. Sometimes we go outside of Old Trafford before the game. So if you ever, want to, be on the channel, just speak to us and, have your opinion on certain things before the game, you might find us. The only way you'll know is if you follow us on the Instagram. So you follow us on Instagram, we'll put it on the story and we'll let you know we are going to be outside Old Trafford, speaking to fans about today's game or whatever game it is, and also it's about different things in general. So maybe Amorim, the owners, stuff like that. So today we did speak to some fans. We do a VT. Sam, who is here right now, but he's also outside. He's also outside. Let's cut to the VT and hear what he has to say.
Who would be your player to watch for this game? If you could pick one key player, one player that could win us the game, who would it be and why?
I'd say Ahmad, but he's not in, so it's just Bruno. He said it, Bruno, all the way.
Why Bruno?
I'll be the captain. Mr. Clutch, Mr. Consistent, Bruno Fernandes. Every game, I've loved this man since he arrived. Oh, honestly, he'd be the best player in the world if he played for Real Madrid. I'll put that out there right now.
Wow, bold take. What's your thoughts on Bruno Fernandes so far this season?
I think he's been playing well recently. Club captain, expected a little bit more from him, but he's been playing better recently, so hopefully he'll keep it up.
Your friend says he expected more from Bruno Fernandes. What do you think?
Nah, to be honest, he's been carrying the team. Yeah, without them, honestly, I think we'd be relegated by now.
Without Bruno Fernandes, we'd be relegated. Bold take. Quick word on Joshua Zirkzee or Rasmus Højlund. Which one would start for you tonight?
I think it's a pretty obvious decision, Joshua Zirkzee. Not to take a lot away from Højlund, because I do hope that in the future he does progress to become a better player. But right now, based on form and just based on his pure ability, I think Zirkzee's got ahead of him.
You speak really well. You should look into doing social media.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks. Who is going to win Manchester United tonight's game?
I'm going to go with Rasmus Højlund, you know. I think he's going to score tonight. It's been a long time coming. I actually think he's going to score, and I think Dorgu's going to provide the assist.
Interesting, because my next question was going to be, what's your thoughts on the Rasmus Zirkzee debate? Who would you start, or would it be Zirkzee in 10 and Rasmus up top? Because obviously Rasmus didn't play the last game.
I think Zirkzee's playing better, and I think Zirkzee looks like he's got more potential, but as a number 9, I'd still go for Rasmus. He's got that pacing behind, and I prefer Zirkzee as a 10. I prefer him playing just in behind the striker, and I think Rasmus, if he's on form, which he hasn't been, you know, he can use his pace to run in behind, and Zirkzee's good at holding that ball and then threading it through to him, and you've seen it a few times, it's not paid off, but yeah, I prefer Zirkzee a little bit deeper.
Interesting, thank you very much, and we're going to be speaking to you in about half an hour when team news comes out.
Exactly, come on United.
Couple of familiar faces in there, man. One of those guys look very familiar, I don't know why.
One of those guys really looked like you.
Yeah, it's crazy, but might have been Upamecano.
Oh my days.
I can't believe I just made that joke about myself anyway. But yeah, so what I want to do is quickly, I'm going to go through some super chats. And then, yeah, we've got Beth calling in about 5 minutes. And yeah, we're going to talk a bit more about some other players, the manager. And also, I really want to talk about the Sir Jim interview.
Yeah, I want to touch on the new stadium after team.
And the new stadium. We've got a lot to talk about.
And we got another VT.
And we got another VT. So we've got a pretty packed show. But yeah, super chats. Make sure you are sending in your super chats so we can read them out. Super chat from Anders Stanton. I think I read this one out. Yeah, I'd play Eriksen in the 10. Him, Dorgu, and Ras. Danish connection there. Super chat from Ronnie Dodge. Thoughts on the new stadium? I personally love it. We are going to talk about the stadium in a minute. I've got my opinions. I know you got your opinions.
We haven't spoken about it.
We haven't spoken about it yet. The stadium looks funny though. Super chat from Park Ji Sung. I heard Sam sacked Mark and bought the US. True. Bought the US.
The United stand.
Oh, my bad. Maybe not.
I have no comment on this.
Yeah, no, nothing's confirmed.
Nope, Goldbridge will see you on the
until the here we go, nothing's confirmed. But yeah, so yeah, make sure you're sending in your super chats. We are gonna have team news coming in at 6:45. So yeah, we're gonna get the actual team. Hopefully, we'll see how close our team is.
Imagine we're bang on. No,
I feel like we're pretty close to.
There'll probably be like one or two differences.
One or two differences. But yeah, let's talk. Just before Beth comes in, let's talk about Amorim. Let's talk about Amorim, and let's talk about. I had a conversation today actually with a couple of United fans about not necessarily his system but his transfers. Now he brought in Dorgu, which is pretty much the only player he's been able to bring in, and in my opinion it's worked out. Now a lot of people would say that Ineos should 100% back Amorim because why not? You know, he's not really had an opportunity to really fulfill his system, fulfill what he's wanted to come in and do. And in my opinion, when I look at the one signing that he has made, it's worked. You know, so I feel like if he has an opportunity to sign some more players, it would more likely work than not work. I mean, compared to what Ten Hag was able to do, he signed 600, 700 million pounds worth of players. How many of those players actually worked out? A lot of them was a lot of wasted money. I mean, let me know in your opinion. In terms of just his transfers, do you feel like Amorim should be fully backed in the summer? Do you feel like he should be able to bring in 4, 5, 6 players like Ten Hag was able to do? or do you feel like Ineos should be a bit more cautious as to how much money they spend?
Well, I think Ineos will be cautious on how much money they spend, but the question is there money to spend?
Yeah.
Because we could say, and I'm sure we're both in agreement of the fact that Ruben Amorim should have the ability and the backing to bring in the players he needs to suit the system to get Manchester United playing again.
Yeah.
But if we don't have any money, then what?
Yeah, true.
Like, actually, then what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about the interview later on, but from that interview, Sir Jim did say something about, we are still buying players that we signed 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We're still paying off the installments. It's like we bought them on Klarna or something, or ClearPay, what's it called? ClearPay or something. Like, we're still paying off them installments. So there are ways. I feel like there are ways and means to be able to buy players even if you don't have money.
Yeah.
That's just something that always happens. But I mean, going back onto Amorim though, in terms of his performances so far, I want you to rate it out of 10. And I want you to base it off not just necessarily the results, but the expectations and how well how well you feel like he should have done. In terms of his expectations and
Amorim.
The expectations and the circumstances that he's come into, what would you rate his time at United so far?
I think it's a hard and it's a harsh question because he doesn't have the players to suit his system to play the way that Amorim wants to play.
Yeah.
So it's like me putting you on a Manchester City fan channel and going, go. You could talk, but talk about what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you'd be able to speak, but you're not a Manchester City fan. You don't have inside out, back of your head, straight through knowledge on Manchester City. So it's hard because, but if I put you in United stand where you're backed and you know what you're talking about, you've got a good team around you, you're going to be able to perform better.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with Amorim.
So I agree. I think a lot of people would say that, like I said before, there are excuses and valid excuses, not necessarily negative excuses, but there are valid excuses to say, you know what, he hasn't been backed one in January. He's come into probably the worst United team ever. He said it himself. A lot of people would probably agree. And also, there's just been a lot of difficult things he's had to deal with in terms of, certain players, on the pitch, off the pitch. I mean, he's had to do like 1,000 interviews. Like, for someone who has said already he hates interviews, they're making him do an interview almost every single week. I think he did one yesterday with Sky Sports.
And Sky aren't even showing the game tonight.
Yeah. So it has been difficult for him. And there's a lot that he's probably going to have to learn. Difficult things that he's going to have to learn for him to finally, get his feet on the ground and make things happen. However, I don't think he's exempt from any criticism at all. I do feel like there are certain things that he could have done better. He can still do better in terms of his decision making, in terms of possibly team selection, in-game management, dealing with certain players, even adaptability in terms of his formation. He is coming into a team that has never played this 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1, whatever you want to call it, this formation. So being able to adapt it to the players that he has, I don't think entirely he's done amazing at that job. And to be fair, a team that I think he's averaged the least amount of points from any manager, like any United manager ever. So you kind of, I get it, it's a difficult situation, but we kind of have to look at it a bit face value. He hasn't done well. Face value, he hasn't done well. But at the same time, yes, there are certain circumstances which I feel like have put him in a difficult position. But let me know in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of 5 out of 10s, 4 out of 10s, 7. With this bunch, he's spoken well and knows what we need. I think it ranges. But yeah, let us know in the chat, what are your opinions on Amorim? How well do you think he's done so far? Your ratings so far in terms of how well he's done for United? And also, what does the future look like for Amorim? Is it going to be even more difficult next season? We're going to have to suffer more. How much more can we even suffer? Let's be honest. Well, we definitely can. Let me not say that because we can always do worse.
Trust me, it could get worse.
It could always get worse. But does it? Does the tides change after summer to be elevate, get to a new level? We do have team news coming in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
There's a lot of
until we get the team.
New ratings coming in: 7, 10, 10, 4 out of 10. Depends on Glinios. We're going to talk about Ineos later on in the show. But look, one more player that I want to speak about before the team new comes in, because I think this is a player that could have started, could be possibly beaten into this starting 11. Casemiro. I feel like that is a name that I wouldn't be surprised if I saw his name into this starting 11 based on his last few performances. Now, for Casemiro, it's a weird situation because even though, yes, he probably has done all right in his last few games, there's no way on earth I feel like Casemiro has a future at United. And for many reasons.
Just, yeah, of course, he team uses in 1 minute. So I just wanted to answer that question. There were reports, I don't know if you saw them, that Casemiro was actually unhappy that Sir Jim actually named him.
That's one thing I would talk about later on as well. Yeah.
So, and I don't blame Casemiro for being unhappy that Sir Jim named him. Like imagine if Goldbridge was doing an interview and someone asked him, you know, your presenters are underperforming, and he goes, yeah, Sam and Mordzs. Well, like, what on earth? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that wasn't even a question though. The question that got asked to him wasn't even about to name players. It was about financial structure and wages and stuff like that, and how much he spent on players.
He didn't
need to name anyone. Terrible answer. But go on, speak to me about Casemiro. In terms of today, what is the percentage, in your opinion, that Casemiro does start today?
I think 0%.
0%?
I don't think he'll play. Not with Ugarte and Collier there. I don't think he'll play. He wasn't in our starting 11, was he? No. He wasn't.
So you don't think there's a chance that it could be Ugarte, Casemiro, Bruno and Xerxes?
It could be, but I don't know. I don't think it will be. Okay. I'm trying to look for the team now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is still a chance, considering that he has played the past few games.
I've got the 11. Okay, brilliant. I said 0% and Casemiro's playing.
I knew I was going to ask it. I was actually thinking to myself, I knew that it's definitely going to start now that you said that. Well, go on, yeah, we've got the team news out. So, Sam, read the team news.
Onana, Mazraoui. Ooh, okay. It's an interesting starting 11. Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Heaven. I told you I think Heaven could play.
You did say that.
I told you. Dalot. So, Casemiro, Fernandes, Dorgu, Xerxes, Garnacho, Højlund. So just to run you through that again. Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Heaven. So the back three is De Ligt, Heaven and Mazraoui. Dalot, Casemiro, Fernandes, Dorgu, Xerxes, Garnacho, Højlund. So a big game for Heaven.
Wow, Aiden Heaven starting. I like that.
Huge game.
I like that.
Huge game.
I like that. The reason why I like that is because he played the last game and he played for, I think this was his longest amount of time playing at this level. Do you have the bench actually before we get into it?
Yeah.
Let's read out the bench quickly before we actually start talking about some of the players. I think that's a huge game for Aiden.
The bench, Harrison, not me, as in like the player. I'm not on the bench.
No,
just in case any of you are wondering. I've got to get down really, really quickly. I've got to do my warm up. I'm actually going in a sec. Just read the team and then go and warm up. Harrison, me, Amas, Fredrickson, Lindelof, Collier, Eriksen, Fletcher, Ugarte, and Scanlon.
Wow, very youthful bench.
Very youthful bench. Senior players, Lindelof, Eriksen, and Ugarte. Unless you want to count Collier as a senior player.
Technically, last game, he was our most senior player.
Yeah.
He was one of but yeah, let's talk about Aiden Heaven. I really want to talk about Aiden Heaven because
I can read the Sociedad one, unless you,
we'll do that. We'll do that
just before we touch on.
Yeah, go on.
Romero in goal. Oh no. I'm going to try and pronounce these names. Munoz at left back, Aguerd, Zabaledia at centre back, and then at right back is Elistondo. Midfield three of Mendes, Zubimendi linked with Arsenal, Andrea Berta, who was linked with the Manchester United technical job, is about to start officially at Arsenal. His first job is to close the Zubimendi deal. Fact. Yeah. Marin is playing, and then Becker on the right, Kubo, who scared us all last game, on the left, and then their number 10, which is their club captain, is Oyarzabal.
Shit.
Huh?
He did well.
Well,
you tried, didn't you?
I tried.
So yeah, look. So I want to talk about Aiden Heaven. I actually just realised as well, I didn't even clock straight away, Ugarte's not starting. Obviously, it's Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro.
Yeah, I can't believe I said 0%.
Yeah, you said 0%. And he definitely was not 0%. So we are going to talk about Ugarte not starting. And like I said, Casemiro in that midfield, I wanted to really touch on that. And I mean, now it's going to happen. So, but let's talk about Aiden Heaven. Now, what I was going to say was the Arsenal game, he obviously had to come on for Euro, who got injured. And I think before that, Yoro was actually having a decent game. And Yoro, this is another injury to Yoro, which I'm kind of getting a little bit concerned about, you know. And I don't know if it's the same foot that he broke in pre-season.
Yeah, no one knows.
I'm not too sure. I don't think they confirmed that. But another injury to a young player, you don't like to see that. Hopefully he does get better soon. But Aiden Heaven, genuinely, I thought he put in a great performance.
Yeah, that's why when we were doing our Predicted 11, I said I think there's a chance that Aiden Heaven can play tonight. It's a huge game. Yeah. It's a huge game. 18 years old, on the stage, in a knockout game as well. So Ruben Amorim must put his faith in there because Lindelof's there. Yeah. Lindelof is on the bench. Does that show where Lindelof ranks in Ruben Amorim's system, that in a knockout game he won't play Victor Lindelof? Or is Lindelof carrying a knock? We don't know, but huge game. Yeah, 100%. Huge game.
A huge game for Aiden Heaven, and I've got trust in him. I mean, he is a player that, in my opinion, when it comes to the future, the next 2, 3, 4 years, he will be a starter for Manchester United, 100%. I think him and Yoro, both of them are obviously 18, 19 years of age. Both of them similar attributes as well. Both of them, you know, quick on their feet, great on the ball. I thought, in fact, Aiden Heaven on the ball against Arsenal actually impressed me. I didn't know how good he was going to be. Yeah, and the fact that you can actually, in those, when you're a centre back and you're playing on the ball, it's actually a bit more riskier and a bit more. It can be a bit scary just because, you know, if you lose a ball as a centre back, it's one-on-one with the keeper, you know, and it can be dangerous. A lot of players, that's why a lot of players kind of just go and hoof it out or just go for a long ball or just try and get out of their feet as quickly as possible. But the players who are a lot more comfortable on the ball, a player like Aiden Heaven, like I said, a Euro, that actually take the time on the ball, even Mazraoui, player that take the time on the ball, you can see that confidence, you can see that, you know, they trust their own ability to be able to play it about and move the ball up the pitch. And I think even in terms of his defensive side as well, you know, he's making great tackles. There was one time where, who was it? I think it was Martinelli, must have brought down a wing, and he went to cross it in, and I can't remember who was in the box. It was probably, I don't know, Trossard maybe, someone who's in the box. And Aiden Heaven made like a great interception in the box. And I thought, you know what, that is top class from such a young player. So, you know what, I've got a lot of confidence in him today. I think he's going to have a good game. And if he does have a good game, which I do think he will, I think he's going to really stir, or he's going to put himself in certain conversations which he might not have been in before. You know, when everyone does end up becoming fit, I'm just going to have to look at the team now and think, you know what, I have a player there that can start. I have a player there that even when Luke Shaw is fit, you know, even when Maguire is fit, or who else is there, Martinez is fit, Aiden Heaven's a player that I can put into my team and I've got confidence in. So I think that's a good thing for United in general, you know, having more options in that centre-back position. But I think for him, just as a player, great for his confidence. And if we do get the win, hopefully we do get the win, he puts himself in a conversation for the next round, you know, and I feel like he probably should start. So let me know in the chat, what do you think about Aiden Heaven and, you know, him starting today? Do you have a couple more super chats before we get, I don't know if Beth's even, is she here? She's not ready yet. Okay, we'll get Beth in a sec. Got some super chats here, and then we'll move on to the fact that Ugarte is not starting, which I think is going to be big. So, super chat from Andres Gomez. About the game today, I think Amorim's system requires a lot of pace, but since Sociedad are fairly slow, we can do well with our slow-ass team. Interesting point. Another super chat from, let me try and find it, from Adoni. Glad to see Cassie on the lineup. One of the very few forward passing players in the club. Onana, though, is not United's best choice as keeper. Well,
he is today.
Yeah, I think he is today. I mean, there isn't that many other options to play in his position. I think do we have 2 goalkeepers on the bench? Probably, we always do. I'm not gonna lie. Another super chat from Anders Danson. That was the back line I called. I had a feeling. Yeah, he was right. Super chat from Lidlon Quality. The things I would do to have Antonio Valencia at right wing back. Oh, honestly, him. Imagine. I hate thinking back to the past because it just makes me get depressed. But imagine him and Ashley Young as our 2 wing backs. Ooh, that's just what we need. I'm talking about a prime, not 39-year-old Ashley Young. I'm talking about a prime Ashley Young, where like he was in between being a winger and a fullback. He could probably still do both. And then Tony Flick.
Imagine who our 10s could be as well.
Anyway, let's not think about that. Let's talk about a couple other players anyway before we move on to a different segment. Ugarte, how big of a miss is that for him not being in the team?
Yeah.
Well, not starting. He's in the team, but not starting.
Yeah, it's obviously a big miss. I think that was another signing that Manchester United did really, really get correct. Manuel Ugarte, I think that he's proved, and everybody agrees that, you know, he has been that solid signing week in, week out. He's probably the first name on the team sheet. I mean, he was our first midfield name on our team sheet that we got wrong. But for me, literally no problems. Like, fantastic, great, thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%. And I think
more Ugartes is what we need in the transfer window. Not that position, but more. Bring us more Mazraouis and more Ugartes, those type of players.
Those kind of signings.
Yeah.
The kind of signings that we need. And in my opinion, looking at especially Real Sociedad's team, they didn't have Zubimeni last game. And I think that was a huge, that's probably their best player. In fact, that is their best player, their most impactful player. And I remember on the build-up shows, it was Jordan and Beth on the build-up. And we were talking about how to nullify Zubimendi. Which player in this team would be the most important player to kind of take him out of the game or make it a bit more difficult for a player of his quality. And Ugarte was that main player. And I think both of us didn't have him. I don't think we had Ugarte like that game, and they didn't have Zubimendi that game, but they're both playing today, and I feel like it's going to be a big battle in that midfield. Who can control the midfield? Who can dominate the midfield? The last thing we kind of want, and somebody mentioned it before, that Real Sociedad are a slow team, you know, in terms of the way they build up the play and stuff like that. They're not, you know, a counter-attacking team, they're really like fast midfielders and fast wingers and fast strikers. They do have obviously great, you know, players in those positions, but they are slow, inverted commas, a slowish team. If we allow them to kind of play the game at their tempo and kind of dictate it, you know, going at their speed, we're just going to play into their hands. I feel like a player like Manuel Ugarte is someone who can actually switch up the tempo. You know, if we want to play quick, Ugarte can get around the pitch quickly, win the ball back and make things happen. If you want to play it slow, Ugarte is someone who's actually pretty composed on the ball. And I feel like he's actually got better at that as well. Considering, you know, the start of his United time, I didn't have as much confidence in Ugarte playing on the ball, you know, his passing ability, stuff like that. But as time's gone on, I think he's improved a lot, and he's definitely shown a lot of people that you can play in that role. So
yeah, I think his first game under Erik ten Hag, it was a bit shaky, and then everyone was like, "Ooh, I'm not sure if Manchester United got this right." But then he didn't play, and then he came back, and he was like, "Yes, actually, this Ruben Amorim system is perfect for Manuel Ugarte." And as I said, first name on the team sheet for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to a couple of other players. Let's go.
I want to ask you one, if that's all right.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one. Obviously, Garnacho is in.
Yeah.
But you were touching on the Eriksen, Garnacho debate. Obviously, Lindelof, Euro, and Eriksen are the three that have dropped out of the starting 11. Rasmus is obviously back in. So would you have played Eriksen now, looking at the starting 11 that contains Heaven, contains Dorgu, contains Casemiro?
Yeah, still. I don't see why not.
So you wouldn't have started Garnacho?
No. And it's not, the thing, when you say that, people think, oh my gosh, like, you're hating on Garnacho. Like, not everyone has to start every game.
Yeah,
that's
true.
First of all. And secondly, I've never thought Garnacho was supposed to be a starter right now at this point in his career. I still feel like with Garnacho, he's at a point in his career where he still needs to develop, he still needs time to develop. And I feel like when you don't start players, you first of all, you relieve the pressure, you know, because he doesn't have to be, you know, the player who everyone's looking at the start of the game speaking about. If he's not starting, he takes that pressure off him and he kind of come in as an impact sub and have a bit more fun, you know, playing, you know, from that point on in the game. But also, Eriksen's, we don't play worse when Eriksen's in the team. I feel like most of the time when Eriksen does play, we don't actually drop in value, we don't drop in quality. And I feel like today, I said it before anyway, he just brings a bit more control to that midfield. He compacts the midfield a little bit more, especially with Casemiro and Bruno. We've seen that midfield pairing get run through quite a bit. And not to say that Eriksen's the most mobile player, but an extra body always helps. An extra body in that midfield definitely helps. So that's kind of my reasonings as to why I would have started Eriksen. We do have a special guest live from Old Trafford. It's not Sir Jim.
Amorim?
It's not Amorim.
Oh.
I was going to say Sir Beth, but it's not. What do they do when it's a girl? Madam Beth, yeah. It's Madam Beth, live from Old Trafford. Beth, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's loud in there. I can hear that.
Do you know what? The Sociedad fans have just started piping up as soon as I've come on here. Honestly, they've been so quiet ever since I've been sat here waiting for you. But as soon as I come on, they start piping up. It's like, you know.
Yeah, they're watching the stand. They're watching the
Yeah,
stand. They knew what was going on. But I mean, go on. We spoke to you before the game outside Old Trafford. But let everyone know what your opinions are on the game. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you, I don't know, are you scared? How are your feelings around this game?
I don't know why, but I'm super excited. I don't think I've processed the fact our season literally could be over tonight / tomorrow morning, depending what time I get out of Old Trafford. But do you know what? Like, if you can't be positive, then what can you be? At the end of the day, like, we've had an awful season. The Premier League's written off, the FA Cup's written off, Carabao Cup's written off. All the above. I'm watching the Champions League games. I'm watching PSG with their rebuild looking fantastic. I'm looking at Arsenal still being in that, and I'm looking at Villa competing as well. It's just, I want to be there, but this is where we're at, and this is the biggest game of our season. And if I want to be in the Champions League, okay, we've got a long way to go in terms of our team being up to scratch, but competing in them sort of games, like, could you imagine Real Madrid coming to Old Trafford and at least competing in that sort of game? That's what I want, and for that, we've got to win tonight, because we've got to win the Europa League. It's our only chance of any sort of European football, and to have Champions League on the line as well, which, I mean, I think the new format's super exciting. It's something I want. We've not got a team ready to compete in there yet, but hopefully Amorim will get a bit of backing in the summer. He'll get a pre-season, and things change quickly in football. Sometimes you can turn things around a little bit.
100%. Sorry for the little bit of an echo.
Yeah, it's been fixed now.
It's been fixed now. It's fixed now. It's all right. My apologies for that. Technical difficulties. But, so yeah, I mean, I kind of want to touch a bit on what you said as well about how important the getting Champions League is. We heard Amorim kind of mention how this game might not be the most important game, and not that it doesn't mean anything, but he did have some questionable comments on his opinion on winning the Europa League and how much it means to United. Do you agree with what he said, and also how do you feel like that kind of relates to the rest of the team?
I think I agree, but I also don't like it at the same time. I agree with him in the sense of Eriksen kept using trophies as an excuse, and our play style wasn't developing the way it should be, and we weren't able to compete over the course of a season. Like, we were 8th in the Prem, and it wasn't good enough. Now we're 14th, but we move. But trophies just kept getting used as an excuse, and we can't have that. And I think Amorim needs people to know, even if we do win the Europa League, like, we've got so much work to do. Like, we've got so much work to do to be able to compete. Like, this team is not able to compete at the highest level. It kind of will just be like a, what do they call it? Like a crash and grab or something like that. That's what it'll be. But at the same time, United should be demanding trophies every single season. We should be competing at the highest level. We should be in the Champions League, and whichever way we get into it, we've got to do it. And sometimes when he says, it's just another game, it's like, well, that energy can transcend to the players. I do believe behind the scenes, he's telling them just how important this is. The players know how important it is. I mean, they get a wage increase if we get into the Champions League. Don't forget, a lot of players have had their wages docked because they're not in the Champions League. So, I mean, I think Casemiro might go up to, what will be on 400 grand a week or something.
450.
Who knows? But yeah, exactly. Honestly, but no, the Champions League's super important. But at the same time, I want to see United, as much as we banter Arsenal, and we can continue to banter Arsenal, I want to see United actually developing and being able to challenge towards the top of the table, and it just makes your season better, because every week you're watching good football. Every week you're watching progression. We've fallen into the trap of being a team that just kind of gets up to the cup games, which shouldn't be the case.
Beth, I wanted to touch on just quickly what you said there about developing. A big development in the starting 11 is the fact that Aiden Heaven is starting. What did you make of that?
I'm happy about it. I thought Lindelof would start, because Lindelof's a senior centre-back and he did play against Arsenal, and I actually think he did okay.
Yeah.
So I thought he'd just go with him out of ease. Heaven's a young player. This is a huge game. Despite how good he's looked, it's a big game to throw him into. It's the biggest game of our season. But do you know what? I think he deserves it. He's played really well. He thoroughly surprised me against Fulham when he had his cameo, and against Arsenal even better. I thought he looked great out there. And when you're missing Lisandro Martinez, who is our natural left-sided centre-back, and Lenny Yoro, who's really come on over the last few weeks, Aiden Heaven looks like the closest thing to that. He's so good on the ball. He's calm, he's composed. Big game for him tonight. The crowd will be up for it. I'm really happy for him.
And another player that maybe some fans didn't expect to be in. Actually, I don't know if you were watching the build-up show, but Mordzs said to me, what chance of Casemiro starting tonight do you think? And I said 0%. So I refreshed the tab, and I went, oh, actually, Casemiro is in that Manchester United starting 11. Did you think he would be in there?
No, I didn't. Especially after Amorim's comments in the press conference, basically calling him overpaid and underperforming and name dropping him as that, I didn't think he would be. I think Casemiro hearing them comments from Amorim would have been a bit like, hang on a minute, like, it's true, but it's also like, I've been playing for you. He's actually done an okay job like the last few games. Nowhere near close to 300 grand a week, but it is what it is, his wage. But I think he's been a lot better than what we saw at the start of the season. However, Ugarte is Amorim's guy, and Ugarte is currently better for this Manchester United side than Casemiro. I thought he would come back in. Is it because he doesn't want to risk injury? Oh my gosh, they're playing the new stadium right in front of me on the TV. It's distracting me. But is it because he don't want to risk him with injury? I just was speaking to someone then, and I was like, I couldn't give two hoots about Leicester on Sunday. I've got to be honest. I don't care about Leicester. I care about tonight. If we lose tonight, then that season's done. So I would have risked Ugarte, I think. But hopefully Casemiro can do a good job. He's done decently well over the last few games. He's used to Spanish opposition from his time over in La Liga. And what Casemiro does provide, I'll give to him, is he provides a bit of a goal threat. He's always had that in his locker. So try and look at the positives, but I would have personally gone for Ugarte.
And then lastly from me, before I pass you back to Mordzs, Rasmus Højlund is starting for Manchester United today. How big of a game is it for Rasmus?
Huge. And this is what we're talking about, how one goal can change your entire season and can change your form, because everyone's writing off Højlund, and I understand why. We've spoken about him on the build-up show on the forums a lot. He's getting a lot of flack, and when you're wearing the number 9 for United and you're not scoring goals, 20 games, you're going to get criticism. It's part and parcel of it. Don't matter how old you are, you are going to get that criticism. I think because his overall gameplay hasn't been great either, even more heat's come on him. But, for example, tonight, biggest game of the season, if Rasmus Højlund manages to get a goal and we score, everyone's hyping him up. Everyone's saying, oh, you know what, biggest game of our season, and he's delivered. So
he's back.
It's huge. Exactly. The standards for United are pretty low. No one's really providing much. Like, Xerxes done a little bit. But I've always said the only attackers I actually think are good enough to start for United if we're competing are Ahmad and Bruno. That's it. Yeah. Like, starting for a competing Man United side. So no one's really pulling up any trees. If Rasmus gets a goal tonight, the fans are going to be behind him anyway, because we need him to perform for the rest of the season. But I'm not saying it means he's fully back and, you know what, his future at United is sealed, but it puts some confidence in him, and he could go on a bit of a run. It's a really big game to score in tonight, so hopefully, fingers crossed, he manages it.
Sick. All right, Beth, before I get your predictions, just aside from the game, quickly, because we're going to talk about this just after you jump off the call, the stadium. What are your opinions on the stadium?
I've been speaking to a few people about it, and sorry, I didn't know if I was giving someone a seat there. I'm not. I didn't like seat. I've been speaking to a few people about it, and the consensus that I've had is it's all well and good putting out these stadium plans showing this £2 billion stadium, but we need new teams. We need to start winning games. Like, no one's going to turn up to a £2 billion stadium if the team isn't in the Premier League, or if it's competing towards the bottom of the Premier League. Of course, you're always going to have your loyal, die-hard United fans that will go to any game. Like, I'll always support United through thick and thin, and a lot of people will, but have they really catered this stadium to the core United fans, that are match-going fans that come week in, week out? That's the question that's being put out there. Personally, for me, I do think we need a new stadium. As much as I love Old Trafford, I think we've got to keep up with the times. I do think we need to step into a new era. I come to Old Trafford every week. It's not as good as it should be, and I've been very lucky to visit quite a few stadiums around the world. And Old Trafford, it needs some investment, and it needs a new stadium. Is it the priority right this second when we've got a lot of players to bring in? Apparently, we're going to run out of money towards the end of this year. I don't know. My priority, if I was Man United, first and foremost, would be getting a team together for Amorim that he can compete with. That's the first and foremost thing. Get winning on the pitch. and then you can step into a new stadium. When that stadium's done, you want a team that is stepping into it, that is competing for the biggest trophies, competing in the Champions League. We're nowhere near that yet. Like I said, things can change quickly in football, but when teams are building a new stadium, like, you know, Spurs, Arsenal, when they were doing theirs, like, usually their summer transfer budgets are restricted and money's tight. We're already tight. So adding that onto a new stadium as well, I'm just worried about the investment that's going to go into the team, but I do like the idea of a new stadium.
100%. Now, let me get your predictions, goal scorers, everything. Let me know.
I'm going with a 2-1 United win.
Yeah.
I think it'll be 1-1 in 90 minutes, and I think we'll score the winner in extra time. I think Højlund will score in 90 minutes, and I think Bruno will score the winner in extra time.
You've got Højlund scoring in 90 minutes?
Yeah, and I think Dorgu's going to get an assist. I think Højlund will score the first goal. I think Sociedad are going to score, and then Bruno's going to score the winner and rescue us in the extra time.
No penalties?
No, ask me why. We'll see.
No penalties, no penalties?
No pens, no pens.
Okay, I love that. I don't want penalties
I can't physically do penalties again.
No more pens, please. No more pens.
Yeah, and also it means that we leave a lot later, so but yeah, anyway, thanks, Beth. We'll see you on the forum. No, we won't see you on the forum.
Thank you very much, guys.
We won't see you on the forum.
I might come and crash it.
Yeah, we might see you after. Anyway, thank you.
Bye,
see
guys.
ya.
Thanks, Beth. Should we do some super chats, and then I want to talk to you about the stadium, if that's okay with yourself.
Okay with me, man.
Darren Mulaney says Heaven is going to become the new Vidic, and Andy Morph says I'm worried about Mark. I hope he's okay. Goldbridge is okay. He'll be on the watch along. We haven't heard any different. I don't know if it's public information or not, so I'm not going to say it just in case. On your chance it's not. But he's fine and he'll be on the watch along. Let's touch on what we were talking about there with Beth. Manchester United's new stadium. What on earth is this all about? So, on Tuesday morning, Manchester United confirmed plans to leave Old Trafford. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows, but let's just, in case you're living under a rock, this is what happened. Manchester United confirmed plans on Tuesday morning to leave Old Trafford and move to a new 100,000-seater stadium. That's a good tongue twister. Yeah. The new stadium, it will be the largest in the UK. It will be built on club-owned land next to Old Trafford. Sir Jim said it is the intention is to create an iconic football stadium. United, Mordzs, have spent how many years at Old Trafford?
I'm going to say 116.
Oh, 115.
Oh,
that was close.
I was one off.
United have spent 115 years at Old Trafford, which currently holds 74,000 spectators, and are expected to continue to play there while the new stadium is being built. So, I wanted to talk to you about this new stadium. What's your initial thoughts on it, based off seeing the concept images and the render photos?
Well, I think first of all, in terms of like Old Trafford itself, that does mean that the stadium won't be knocked down, right? Or am I just assuming?
Nobody knows what's actually happening to Old Trafford yet.
Okay, fair enough. Because the point I wanted to make based on that was, I do feel there's a lot of history here. I mean, 115 years. I'll be honest, I might be, like, can we get the actual date? Like, how many, is it actually 115? Because I feel like I was right.
Yeah, 115 years.
When did it open?
I'll have a look.
When did it open? When did Old Trafford open? 1909, was it?
Old Trafford opened 19th of February 1910.
1910. Oh, okay, yeah, that is 115 years. But yeah, I think, look, the history that's at the stadium, the fair regimes, the biggest stadium in the country already, the amount of things that we've won here, and not even just like Manchester United history. I mean, there's England history in the stadium. Beckham scored that free kick for England in 98, 96. I wasn't born, so I don't really know. But like, there's history in the stadium, and I think, in my opinion, I'd want Old Trafford to stay, as in, I want to get a new stadium, but I also want Old Trafford to stay. Even if they're like the 2000, yeah, my bad, 2000 when he scored that free kick. But yeah, I want Old Trafford to stay, just even if it's for the youth, the academy team, or they might just take it down a little bit, take down some of the tiers and have the women's team play there or have events there or something. I think that the stadium itself shouldn't be taken down, just because there's just so much history at this Old Trafford stadium. And yes, it's a bit run down, it's leaking, the toilets are a mess, but I still think there's a lot of, like I said in it, there's a lot of memories that are in Old Trafford. So I don't think, in my opinion, don't want to fully get rid of Old Trafford and just build a new Trafford, which everyone's saying. But in terms of the new stadium, I think it does look like a circus. Yeah, I will admit. It looks like someone like just splash their foot in a puddle and then put it, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of looks a bit funny, innit, from the rendered images. In real life, it'll probably look insane.
Yeah.
I can imagine it looking crazy.
Unreal.
I mean, 100,000 seat stadium already is insane. Anyway, I've never been to a stadium that's more than Old Trafford, I'll be honest. Or Wembley, actually. I've been to Wembley. Yeah. But even that's what, 90, I think? I think that's 90,000. So easily the biggest stadium in the UK. And I think in terms of being from Manchester as well, City just opened up the Cope Live last year. That's the biggest arena in Europe.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
City just opened up, if you didn't know anyway, City opened up the Cope Live, or I say City opened up, the people who own City, the Sheikhs, what are they called? It's not Emirates, Etihad. I don't know who actually owns them in it, but them guys, innit, they opened up the Cope Live, which is, like I said, the biggest indoor arena in Europe. We need something like that. Like, being United, but the biggest club in the country, we need to be keeping up with those kind of levels. And I feel like us opening up a 100,000 seat stadium, which will probably be the main hub now for international acts, international events.
Yeah, true, because it's going to host concerts.
It's going to host concerts. It's going to host a lot of these big events. Soccer Aid.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I don't care about Soccer Aid. But let me not say that. No, I'm saying that. As in, like, I've never been to Soccer Aid, innit? I've never been there, innit? That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. But big events, innit? It's going to hold huge events. And I feel like as United being a big club in the country, one of the biggest clubs in the world, we need to have something on that level. So I'm definitely 100% all for it.
Some super chats in from Emily. Emily says, the new stadium reminds me of the Jedi Temple from Star Wars.
Never watched Star Wars in my life.
Neither have I. A super chat from Jed. Oh, look. So a super chat about the Jedi and a super chat from Jed. Jed says, Grandma Rowe says, hi, Sam. That's Jed's grandma. So shout out to you, Grandma Rowe. Hello. Thank you for watching. So, yeah, on this stadium, what is one must-have feature for you? And also, I wanted to ask you about what you would name it.
Must-have feature. I mean, I put this on Twitter. I just wanted a screen. I'll be so real. Not even a screen in a stadium is crazy. Like, we all have TVs in our house. How we not got a TV in Old Trafford? It's absolutely insane. Like, you can't watch a replay. Like for example, where I'm going to be sitting today, there's only a screen if you turn around and you look at the suite. You know when you see the suite behind?
Into the boxes.
That's the only way you can see any kind of replay. Or you get it on your phone or something. But like in every other stadium, there's a huge screen, like everywhere. They've all got screens, so like I don't know, maybe that's just an obvious thing that's going to be in a stadium.
No, we're being cooked for not watching Star Wars, by the way.
Is it? But for not watching Star Wars?
Yeah. Somebody said they watch Star Wars more than they watch United.
How's that even possible? Anyway, but yeah, a screen, that's the first one. Secondly, I mean, producer Greg just said good toilets.
Yeah.
That could help. That could help. But if I'm being honest, like, when it comes to stadiums, I feel like having a good atmosphere is one of the most important things. And also, in terms of having a good atmosphere, being close to the pitch. It's true. I've been to West Ham, is it called the London Stadium?
Yeah.
I've been to their stadium, and they're so far from the pitch.
Yeah, like, the age is way up in as well.
Yeah, I feel like it has an effect on just the atmosphere in general that you can't really, I don't know, it just doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel great being that far away from the pitch, and I feel that's something important. Hopefully, the way Old Trafford is, literally, if you're one of the closest seats, if you're like the closest seat to the ground, you're genuinely like a couple meters away from the pitch. It's so close. True. And especially like, for example, being next to the dugout, and I think you sat last game on,
near Amorim.
Literally right behind Amorim. Yeah. You could hear everything he was saying.
I'm next to the Real Sociedad bench today.
Literally. So you being that close, I feel like it helps, especially as fans. You want to be close to the pitch as possible. So that's one thing. Other than that, just like, good acoustics, let me say that. Because I want the atmosphere to still be great. You know, when a stadium's too big, the atmosphere kind of gets dies down a little bit. I want it to be, you know, in a way where the atmosphere can still be felt, you know, in the stadium. And
then just a quick one as well. The new stadium is being referred to in official documents as New Trafford.
That can't be true.
Yeah.
First of all, that can't be true.
Yeah, Sky Sports, I'm reading it off.
You know what,
Sky
that doesn't make any sense, because Old Trafford isn't called Old Trafford
because it's old.
It's called Old Trafford because it's in Old Trafford.
I know. Yeah, I'm just reading off Sky. No, I'm not making it up.
Oh, fair enough.
The new stadium referred to as New Trafford in a briefing document will feature an umbrella design which, according to its architects, will harvest solar energy and rainwater. What would you name it? Would you actually just name it Old Trafford, like, not Old Trafford again, but like just Old Trafford?
Back to the point I was making, if the original Old Trafford stays, you can't name it Old Trafford, because that is the Old Trafford.
The Old Trafford 2?
Old Trafford 2.0. Or just do like what's Camp Nou called now? Is it called Spotify? Did they change their name to
Spotify Camp Nou. Yeah,
No, did they change it to that?
yeah, I think so. So we could be called like the Snapdragon Old Trafford.
Or yeah, just the Apple Music Old Trafford or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
something like that. I'll be honest.
Someone said Goldbridge Trafford.
I would hate for it to be named after a sponsor. I'll be so real. I'd hate for that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That to me is the most.
The Tottenham Stadium, their new stadium was just called the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We could just be called the Manchester United Stadium.
That's even more. I think the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium sounds horrible.
Would you rather a sponsor? Would you rather the Snapdragon? Would you rather the Snapdragon Stadium?
Oh.
Would you rather Snapdragon Old Trafford or the Manchester United Stadium?
The Snapdragon Old Trafford is a
No,
horrible
not the.
name.
Just Snapdragon Old Trafford or Manchester United, the Manchester United
The
Stadium.
Manchester United Stadium is definitely better than the Snapdragon Old Trafford. Someone put that suggestion in here, the Sir Alex Ferguson Stadium.
Yeah, Sir Alex Arena.
I would
Ooh,
it's
Sir
not an arena.
Alex Arena.
Sir Alex Arena sounds cold. I'd rather that, to be fair.
Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den is, Dragon's Den is a good one.
Southgate
Dragon's
Arena. New Trafford.
Southgate Arena.
Butlins Trafford.
But look, yeah, I mean, keep sending in your opinions.
Anthony's Palace.
To be fair though, there are a lot of stadiums that obviously are named or sponsored. Emirates.
Yeah, exactly.
Etihad.
Exactly.
What's Chelsea's Stamford Bridge, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just kind of want it to be named after something that would make sense in 100 years.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like the Snapdragon Stadium wouldn't make sense in 100 years. The Adidas Stadium it wouldn't make sense in 100 years. I want it to be something that it can live on, you know, to test the time. Not something that can be changed in 5 years' time when we get a new sponsor. Or 10 years' time we get a new sponsor. You know what I mean?
Just going to touch on some super chats, then we do players to watch because we've got to wrap up in 10 minutes. It's gone very, very fast. Member for 16 months, ex-Zimph says, get watching Star Wars.
No, like
This is a Star Wars obsession.
I've actually tried. I'm just not a fan.
We'll raid Goldbridge's chat with have you watched Star Wars?
Just quickly, Nick, I don't even want to touch on this too long, but let me know what order to watch it in, and I might watch it. Because I feel like it's a weird order you have to watch it
Why
in.
don't we do a watch-along? Star Wars watch-along.
25-hour watch-along.
Emily Derry, another super chat, says the new stadium needs a new water feature. Musty says, hey guys, good morning from Sydney. Good morning, thank you for tuning in, Brian Early. NL Koala says, name it the Trafford Arena. Darren Mullaney says, the Sir Alex Ferguson Stadium. Get your super chats in.
Like
Only a few minutes left of Sam and Mordzs' build-up show. S-Ben, member for 41 months, says the Glazer Stadium.
I
think there would be I think our fans would burn it down.
They would literally get burnt down. Literally get burnt down. But one thing I wanted to actually talk about quickly was the Sir Jim interview.
Yeah.
The Sir Jim interview. I don't know if anyone's actually done a show. Maybe Beth done a show about it. I'm not sure.
Goldbridge reacted to it.
Yeah, obviously, Goldbridge did a show about it. But before I obviously give my opinions on it, what are your opinions on what he kind of said?
I think the first problem with the interview started with the interviewer, Gary Neville. Gary Neville's on the board of the Regeneration Project. Now, I don't actually have that much of a problem with Gary Neville. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. I don't have anything against him. When you're on the Regeneration Project and you know Sir Jim and you have a fantastic relationship with Sir Jim, you're not going to ask him harsh questions. It's like me interviewing you. I'm not going to ask you like extremely difficult questions because I know you and I don't want to do that.
There's a bit of a bias.
There's a bias there, right? And I think that was the main problem is there was no harsh questions. Sum up your first 12 months of Man United. It's like me going, you know, you go into the game. Like,
I know what you mean. I disagree, you know. I think Gary Neville did as well as he could have done. Because in reality, no one's going to go into that interview.
I guess the questions would have had to been approved.
This is what I mean. Like, I feel like people think you can just walk into an interview and say what you want to a billionaire. No, you can't. Like, you just can't. No one's going to allow that. United would have never allowed that to happen. The reality is, whoever did that interview would have likely been told, this is what you can ask and this is what you can't ask. If you ask the questions you can't ask, it will not make it into the interview. That's just the reality. So I think it's pretty harsh to get onto Gary Neville for not asking certain questions when, let's be honest, he probably wasn't allowed to ask them. Secondly, I actually do think he asked pretty harsh questions. Because in my opinion, what I wanted to know was why he's made certain decisions in terms of the staff cuts, the £40,000 rewards that he took away.
I get that, I hear that.
All the other cuts that he kind of made. I also wanted to know what the Glazers, which I think he asked a lot about. I think he definitely questioned him on why is he taking he actually mentioned, he said that he what was the word he used? A shield. He mentioned, I think he described it as him being a shield for the Glazers. And I think a lot of people want to know why you actually covering up for the Glazers and the decision that they made. And I think he asked that question. He also asked about a lot of the wage bills and the financial, mess that United are in. They definitely questioned him on that. And even about certain players, and he asked him about Amorim. I think that's kind of all we kind of wanted him to ask. I don't know what else he would have asked, genuinely. What else would he have asked him to say? So I feel like Gary Neville, you might not like him personally, but I feel like he asked things he could have asked.
I got nothing against him.
Not you personally, but I mean, like, some people might not like him, but I feel like he asked every question he could have asked in that kind of situation.
Yeah, I hear that. I do.
Anything else?
Not really. It was just a PR interview. I mean, it was the most... When I got the text, isn't it? Because I put it into the United Stand group chat. I said, guys, I've just been told that Sir Jim's done an interview with Sky that's going to drop in about 45 minutes. And then we all started with like, what on earth? Who's it with? And then I was like, I think it's with Gary Neville. And then from them, we were like, okay, it's not going to be good. But
there's a few super chats that you can read out in a sec, but just to wrap up on the whole interview, in my opinion, yes, it was a whole PR thing, we all know that, but I think first of all, the fact that he did it, and the Glazers, I ain't heard the Glazers speak in my life, ever in my whole life.
They actually got asked the other day they got pestered and followed by Sky News, and apparently was it Avram or Joel? I think it was either one of them. Were on their way to meet President Trump, and started talking to the Glazers family about Man United. And he went, I don't think this is appropriate. I'm on the way to meet the president. And then he went, so you get to sell Manchester United? And he went, no, and walked off.
Yeah. See that the fact that the Glazers have never spoke really out on anything is kind of one of the main problems in my opinion, because it's not like they have nothing to speak about. Like, you've definitely got a lot to speak about. There's things going on at the club which are your fault. So you need to speak. Let's hear your voice at least, So the fact that Sir Jim, whatever you want to call him, the fact that Sir Jim came out and spoke, I think it's something positive that the Glazers haven't done. However, I think his answers were terrible. Honestly, the worst answers I've ever heard in my life. The first thing he did wrong, one of the things he did wrong anyway, was mention the fact that what was the term he used? The most faithful United fans are the ones who go to games every week.
Yeah, that was
absolute nonsense. That's the most bollocks I've ever heard in my life. I know fans who live in other countries that would literally cut off their arm to go to a United game. That is like the biggest thing that they could possibly do. Like, they'll spend all their money to do that, but they can't because it's a privilege to go to a United game. Let's be honest, it's not even cheap. Living in Manchester is not cheap. So imagine people who live in Brazil.
66 quid to go.
Exactly. Like, in this economy, not a lot of people can do that. So that was a billionaire talking, in my opinion. And also, when Gary Neville pretty much said to him, why do you need to cut £40,000 worth of rewards when you could have had a dinner with Bruno and Maguire? And he said, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, facts.
Again, though, like, come on, like, you're not helping yourself. Like, surely someone in your team thought that idea. You don't need Gary Neville to be sat in the middle of an interview coming up with better ideas than you did. Terrible again. And lastly, the thing that I think he did wrong was he called out, maybe he didn't mean to, but he called out certain players who are still at the club.
Yeah.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen anyone ever do.
Nightmare. Literally
mentioning players who are still playing for United week in, week out, players that we need, play like Onana, Casemiro, Højlund. I think he mentioned like Rashford as well, a couple of other players that are on loan, Anthony, Sancho. Fair enough, those players are on loan. But to mention players that are at the club who you're going to see in real life at some point, players who are probably going to be here next season, and you call them out during an interview.
And he called out Ten Hag, which was unnecessary.
And he called out Ten Hag for no reason. I think that his answers were terrible. That's it. Let's move on.
Let's get your super chat in. I'm not going to lie, the stadium name chat's popped off. Roam with the super chat says, gents, Atletico are winning. It's a dangerous team for us. Maz we says, I'm calling it now, the Ineos Stadium. Steve says Trident Park. Cy Gales says it will be the Snapdragon Arena at Old Trafford. Alan says the Theatre of Dreams Stadium. EE Diet says, what about the Theatre of Dreams as the name?
I was going to say, I don't mind that. Theatre of Dreams, if you can copyright it, then yeah.
Yeah. NL Koala says, buy Cherky from Leon and Wirtz Real Talents. JR says, the chat are digging Devil's Den. Ooh.
Devil's
I don't know, I can't imagine hearing welcome. Manchester United face Manchester City today at the Devil's Den.
Sounds too
childish.
Showish, yeah.
Childish,
like a
reality
YouTube
TV.
video.
Yeah. United Star says, even Barada has just said they don't know how they'll fund the new stadium yet and are still looking for options to find it. An utter disgrace.
Well, Yeah.
Bad. Couple of minutes until Goldbridge goes live. Mordzs, who was your player to watch?
Yes, we did forget to do that.
Yours was Ugarte, I think.
It was,
wasn't it?
And he's not even starting, which I think he should start.
Give us.
I think he should start, but based on the players who are starting, it's got to be Aiden Heaven. It's got to be Aiden Heaven. I'm not going to do Hoyland because I feel like everyone, like Beth said it before, she gave a pretty good explanation as to why she thinks Hoyland. So, but it is an important game for him again. You know, to find, come on, get a goal today. Just get a goal, get your confidence a bit better, and let's just try and get a good run to the end of the season. But
exactly.
Aiden Heaven, huge game, young player. Is this his first start? Is this his first start?
It's European start.
First European start. Yeah. So again, under the lights. Let's see.
First ever start for Man United as well.
Yeah. So it is his first
First ever Man United start 4 days after his Premier League debut.
Yeah. So again, like I said, huge game. Yes, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. He's probably going to play for the whole game, more or less. Yeah, unless not Lindelof. He was the one who didn't start.
Yeah, Lindelof.
Yeah, Lindelof. Yeah. So unless Lindelof comes in for him, which probably will happen at some point. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game for him. I'm gonna a close eye, but also let's not be too harsh. You know,
yeah, for sure.
Let's not be too harsh because he is still a young player. He is still coming through the ranks, and he is still developing. At the end of the day, he's not supposed to be our starting centre back. It's not his fault. Everybody else is injured. You know what I mean? But hopefully, it's a great game, and yeah, I'm rooting for him. If it does go to penalties, let's get Aiden on the penalty, man. Let's get Aiden on the penalty.
You put Aiden on the penalty?
Nah, actually, no, I'm lying. That's too much pressure. But I would love to see him score a penalty, though. That would do so much for his confidence.
Yeah, I agree. Omar Barada has also been talking, by the way. Those quotes are going to be on the United Stand Twitter in a minute. He's been talking to TNT Sports. He said, basically, just to highlight very quickly, we will invest in the squad even without continental football. He's also confident of investing in the current playing squad. And he says that the reaction to the stadium has been positive. From internally, has been positive.
Yeah. I have to
make what you.
At least he's speaking anyway.
Say what you think on that. Goldbridge is preparing to go live. We haven't done our score predictions.
Who's your player to watch though?
Was Heaven.
Oh, same as me. Oh,
you stole mine. The same as you. Actually, yours was the same as me.
I said mine first though.
Do you want to look at the group chat? And say you got there first.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'll allow you. Mine was technically Ugarte, so I'll actually allow you. But score predictions, mine was 2-1.
Yeah, mine was 2-1 as well.
Everyone's 2-1. Ashley's 2-1. I think Mark's was 2-1. Everyone's 2-1. Everyone knows we're going to concede. So the only way we can win is if we score 2 goals. So I would say 2-1 though in 90 minutes. I think some people might say 2-1 in 120 minutes. Some people might even go penalties. Penalties is going to be so stressed. I'll be so honest.
I can't do it on penalties.
I don't want to go penalties either. Bro. I think we're going to take it at home. So yeah, I can say 2-1 in 90 minutes.
Sweet. That's mine as well, but I think it will be an extra time.
Fair enough.
What should they spam the chat with? Maybe they should tell Goldbridge that we've never watched Star Wars.
Should we call it Heaven's Arena?
Heaven's Arena.
Heaven Stadium.
The Heaven Stadium. Go on, I'll leave the final decision with you.
Heaven Almighty. So far, our producer just said that in my ear.
I'll leave the decision with you.
Let's just say...
How about you put in Goldbridge's chat, what's your ideal name for the new Manchester United Stadium?
Yeah, just put in loads of different suggestions.
Spam the chat with what you would name the stadium. Do you want to close the show? Go on,
yeah, thank you guys for watching. We do have a fans forum after the game with, I think, Kev and Tull.
Yep.
Kev and Tull. Beth might crash it, you don't know. She might just randomly pop in. So make sure you're locked in after the game for the fans forum. Come on, Manchester United. Let's get this win.